Hey Siri, what fantasy sports podcast should I listen to?
Beast the Odds. Fantasy sports and sports investing with your host, 12-time DFS champion qualifier and counting, 5-time MLB Fantasy Pros HR champion, back-to-back years.
Mantradamus.
Beastome Nation! It is February 12th, 2021. That's kind of weird. It's like a 2-1-2. We got a lot of numbers. We got a lot of symmetry. It's actually 12:02 as I'm recording this in the afternoon. So we'll keep those numbers going. Anyways, we got a great episode tonight. We got a contenders, pretenders, and the NBA. What teams are for real? What teams are not? We got a little special on DraftKings and FanDuel. The support, what they should do regarding the NBA with all these late scratches. But first, we open every episode with opening a pack of cards. We got Panini contenders right there. This is the 2018 version, so that means we are looking for the Sam Darnold rookie. I'm just kidding. We got Josh Allen, we got Lamar Jackson. Who else we got? Got Saquon, we got Baker. There's the Josh Allen card's been running hot in this series. I believe the price of it is, I want to say $10K. I don't want to damage this when I open it. Hey, we are back. Little technical difficulties there, but we got our cards. Let's get that auto. All right, so we're starting off with Julio Jones. We got Tyreek Hill. We got Jarvis Landry, part of the Beastome Draft Guide 2 years ago, and Drew Brees, part of the Draft Guide. The quarterback. Oh, what's this? We got a little Traquan Smith, Michael Gallup. Well, that's not going to work. Dual rookie card. That's probably worth nothing. Though Traquan Smith was great during that playoff game against the Bucks. T.Y. Hilton, Marquise Goodwin, of course, and Dakota. All right, so that was a pretty garbage pack, to say the least. Marquise Goodwin, he really fell off the face of the earth. He was the guy for Jimmy Garoppolo, and now he just nothing. He's on Tiger King, I remember that. So anyways, let's jump into our first segment, Pretenders and Contenders as Panini contenders. But these are the NBA standings, and let's look at these teams and what teams are going to stick in the playoff race, what teams are going to fall out of the playoff race. So let's start with the East. 76ers are the 1 seed. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. Bucks, 2 seed. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. Even without Drew Holiday, they're still a strong team. Brooklyn Nets, they'll continue to climb. Boston Celtics, I'm going to say they're going to dip a little bit. They really have a weak bench. Yes, they'll be better when Marcus Smart returns and their starting 5 is fine, but that bench has no talent at all. And Brad Stevens, for about like 4 minutes of each half, he'll go with a lineup with no Tatum and no Jaylen Brown at the same time. And to me, when coaches sub out both their stars, and these are like nights when Kemba is not playing also, when coaches sub out their stars and just have scrubs out there all at the same time, to me, that's a coach that does not know how to coach. And I don't care what anyone says. Indiana Pacers. Are they contenders? Are they pretenders? If TJ Warren and Caress LeVert return for the Pacers, then yeah, they'll make the playoffs. If not, it's going to be tight. Toronto Raptors, are they contenders, pretenders? When OG's healthy, they got a great 4 guys they can rely on, and that bench is getting better. They got Boucher, who's just playing out of his mind right now. Well, pretty much all season. I'm going to say they're still not a lock for the playoffs just because Siakam, yeah, he's good, but he's not really the superstar that everyone thinks he is. And Kyle Lowry, he's more of a facilitator than a guy who can take over a game. And when you're depending on Fred VanVleet to be the guy for your team, not a good look. All right, Charlotte Hornets, they are pretenders. They're a good team. They're looking good. They're going to be a good team in the future if they can hold these guys together. They could use a better center than Zeller. Yeah, Zeller's producing, but they need a guy who can really protect the rim, and they don't have that. Atlanta Hawks, they are contenders when they're healthy, but they're not healthy. Hunter's out for a while. Rondo's really not even been Rondo. Bogdanovic, he's might return soon, but he's not the guy that it's doubtful that he becomes the guy that they expect him to be. I'm gonna say actually they're pretenders. They're not locked in for the playoffs. Miami Heat, they've had to deal with a lot of injuries this season. They're currently at the 9 seed. They are the real deal. They will be back in the playoffs. They will not be there to defend their title again, but they'll be back in the playoffs for sure. They're at the 9 seed. They'll be back up. New York Knicks, they are for real. The Knicks are for real. Tom Thibodeau, that guy knows how to coach. He really does. He's getting this team to play defense. They just got Derrick Rose. They have rumors out that they're going after Bradley Beal. Honestly, they don't even need Bradley Beal. Well, of course it helps. And RJ Barrett, yes, he's good, but is he a go-to guy? Not quite, because Julius Randle anyways is a go-to guy. But if they had Beal, they'd be great. Anyways, Knicks can still make it in. Mitchell Robinson, Noel, 2 guys defend the paint. They got tons of guys who like to put the ball in the hoop off the bench with Burks and Quickly. I like the Knicks. Chicago Bulls, another team that has had to deal with a lot of injuries this year. I am going to say they are pretenders because you know what? Kobe White has not been the same Kobe White of last year. He's been very inconsistent, and this is a time when he really should be taking over. Zach LaVine's great, but in the end, I mean, they can compete with teams without a doubt, but I don't know. They're right there below. They're below the Raptors if I had to put them in an order. So how about the Cavs? The Cavs have had to deal with injuries all season as well, like time after time after time. They got a good team, but they have too many injuries. And what this team really needs is, I don't want to say Kevin Love, but Kevin Love, a young Kevin Love would be great. They need a small forward that can ball. They really need Kevin Porter Jr. to pan out. If Kevin Porter Jr. was the guy he was last year with this team, then the Cavs would be making the playoffs. Orlando Magic, oh man, talking about injuries. They're not going to be in it this year. They're going to fight. They're going to be tough to beat, on nights of the NBA. But overall, this team, Evan Fournier is not the same guy. Aaron Gordon's out. Without Aaron Gordon, this team's really not that good. They need a superstar, and he is a superstar type of player. Not every night and not on the stat sheet, but the way he commands the game and kind of controls it, they don't have that without him. Washington Wizards. You know what? Look at this. Okay, they've only played 22 games, right? And most of the other teams, they played 25, 27. So whatever, still, they're a few games out of the playoff picture. I believe in them. I believe they can come back and make the playoffs. The Wizards, they might be in second to last place in the East, but they can come back and make the playoffs. The problem with them right now, honestly, the problem with them is they don't know how to work rotations at all. They have so much talent on their team, and they're not playing any of it correctly. Like, why is Troy Brown Jr. not even playing some nights of the week? This guy was a superstar during the bubble, and to not even play, like, it's just terrible, horrible management. Detroit Pistons. You know what? I'll give props to the Pistons for, like, beating the Lakers, beating good teams. They beat Brooklyn as well, but they're not going to make the playoffs. So who are the 8 teams that are making the playoffs? 76ers, Bucks, Nets, Celtics, Pacers, if they get healthy. And then we got the Heat, the Knicks, and the Wizards. So no to the Raptors. Pacers are like, if the Pacers don't get healthy, they'll get in. And if the Pacers don't get healthy, the Raptors will get in. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the West. All right, in the West, the 1 seed's the Utah Jazz. And as good as Utah has been, they are not going to finish the season as a 1 seed, but they'll make the playoffs. They are contenders. The Lakers, are they contenders? Of course. Even without Anthony Davis, they almost did lose to the OKC Thunder. And they lost one game and beat them in overtime in the other, and then they just barely beat Detroit. But LeBron's just tired. Honestly, we'll talk about the All-Star game after this. Clippers, they will be in the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns, are they contenders? Are they pretenders? I'm going to say they are pretenders. There's no way they are the 4th best team in the West. That's a joke. This is the first time I'm seeing the West standings in a while. No way they're the 4th best team. We'll see if they make the playoffs. Trailblazers, they are pretenders unless Nurk and McCollum get healthy. Let's just assume they do, because they will. So once they're healthy, they'll be in the playoffs. All right, so they're contenders. The Spurs, they are pretenders. They are Popovich. He's got a lot of talent on his team, and he's got to mix and match it well. But to me, he's not doing a good enough job of making sure the team knows DeMar DeRozan is the superstar of that team, because too many people try to take over on random nights when DeMar DeRozan has to be the facilitator every single night. He has to be the LeBron James of the Spurs, basically. And if they gave DeRozan that role of being the LeBron of the Spurs and get his triple doubles, get his 20 points, everything else, get people involved, Spurs would be a better team. Nuggets, oh man, Nuggets are definitely contenders. 7th seed, they'll be the 2nd seed easily. 3rd seed, probably. Golden State Warriors. Oh man, Steve Kerr is honestly the most overrated coach of all time. If he did not have Steph Curry, they would not be in the playoffs this year. Like last night against the Magic, if it was not for Steph Curry bailing them out, they would not be in the playoffs at all. Well, not in the play. They wouldn't have won last night at all. So Steph is great. The team is solid, but in the end, they are pretenders, because really all they are is Steph Curry. And if he goes up against a team that can shut down Steph Curry, which a lot of teams can do, there are ways to do it. But the Magic didn't even have a guard last night, so there's no way in the world they were going to. And you know what, Steve Kerr, this is what gets me. So the Magic last night, right? They have no guards. I've played basketball my whole life. I'm sure all of you have played rec league basketball at some point in your life. What do you do with a team when you go up against a team with no guards? You full court press. Yes, it's the NBA, and maybe they can figure it out with passes, but not likely. Not when you don't have a point guard. Like they were having James Ennis bring up the ball. He's a small forward. The guy's got no handles at all. Anyways, Warriors pretenders. Sacramento Kings, when they are healthy, they are a great team, but the problem is Luke Walton is their coach. And even Luke Walton, I believe, went 20-0 or something when he was coaching the Warriors that year. Steve Kerr had, they won the championship. That team, Steve Kerr was gifted the best gift by Mark Jackson of that squad. And then when Kevin Durant joined, oh, wow, anyone could coach that team to a championship. Anyways, Sacramento Kings, Luke Walton's not a good coach. He's not good at rotations at all. They're a good team, but unfortunately, Luke Walton will have them as a pretender. The Grizzlies at 10-10. We're at the 10th best team right now in the West. They are pretenders as well. They got a good squad, don't get me wrong, but to me, it just doesn't seem like they can really beat good teams. Yes, they have, dominated the Spurs multiple times. Jonas is great. Clark is solid. When they got Jaren Jackson Jr., they'll be great. They got Brooks. They got John Morant. But to me, they don't have a superstar that can take over a game. And Ja is great, but he's not a superstar yet. Dallas Mavericks, they are the 11th seed right now. Yes, the 11th seed. They are contenders. They will be back in the playoff race. It's really ridiculous that they've been losing so much. And to me, the reason why is because no one else is really stepping up outside of Luka. And to me, the way to make that happen for the Mavericks is Luka has to give up some responsibility. He's got to let other people shine and make their moments, because right now it's just a Luka show with everybody watching. And Luka needs to have a 20-assist game before a 40-point game in order for the Mavericks to get back in the swing of things. The Pelicans are contenders. They got a great team. I love Van Gundy as the coach. They got a great bench. They have a lot of guys that can score the bucket, score the ball off the bench with Redick. Well, I know Redick's playing limited minutes, but Hart. They got a lot of guys that would be solid bench players elsewhere. But their starting five to me is a complete starting five. Lonzo can shut down. He can guard Steph Curry. And I believe they're actually playing tonight, if I'm not mistaken. We'll look at that. By the way, there's going to be a Monkey Night Fight pick on beastdome.com in the article below. Coming soon, you'll see it right there. Going back to this, they got Bledsoe, Ingram, Zion, Steven Adams. They got a complete starting five. I like the Pelicans to get back in the playoff race. Houston Rockets, they are pretenders. John Wall, Oladipo, Cousins, Wood, Gordon. Yes, that's a good five. But you know what's wrong with that five is there's no defense in any of that five. OKC. Oh, man, I don't know how they're still somehow in the playoff race. This team is so horrible. They're so horrible. Even though they won without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in LA, it's not a good team. They're not a good team at all. Everyone should beat them every single night. And the 6-19 Minnesota, so they are pretenders for the record. And the 6-19 Minnesota Timberwolves, if this team was healthy all season long, they'd be in the playoffs right now. There's enough time. They are how many games back? They're only 8 games back. There's enough time for them to get back in the playoffs if they do not give up. D'Angelo Russell's hurt, which hurts. Let's just put it this way. They probably won't make the playoffs, but they will beat playoff caliber teams when they are full strength and healthy. So there's a Monkey Night Fight pick below. Let's talk about FanDuel, DraftKings, what to do with all these late night NBA subs. So what's been going on is that there's been a lot of scratches, and they're not scratches like before the game. There's scratches in between that 10 minutes of when the slate locks on FanDuel and DraftKings. Then there's 10 minutes until tip-off. In that 10-minute span, they'll say, oh, Tyler Hero's not playing, protocol. Oh, Isaiah Roby's not playing, protocol, whatever the reason is. So what happens then is everyone's just screwed who owns those players. And, I'm not complaining. I'm really not, because I own those players, and I don't, I win, I lose, whatever. It's part of the game. But here's how to remedy the situation. And we're going to go back to an old school method. I believe this was last year FanDuel did this, is they erased your lowest score. And I feel like that's just the way it should be. Just erase the lowest score, because there's too much little interference to the point where, now, me personally, I don't mind watching NBA fantasy basketball all night, every single night, 24/7. That's the advantage to me of being single, is that I can do that. I know if I was married, I'd be divorced quickly, because I'd be spending more time with my fantasy sports teams than my wife. And unfortunately, that's just where I am mentally in my life. But that's fine with me, and I enjoy it. So anyways, I know if I was married, I would not be able to play daily fantasy basketball, because one, you have to check every second to see, oh, okay, this guy's scratched. I have to take him out, replace him. Okay, how am I going to, now I have $2,000 extra dollars. Well, how am I going to budget myself extra, salary cap wise? How am I going to budget the rest of this? Okay, this guy locked, this guy didn't lock. It's a whole mental game. And if I had to deal with anything else besides fantasy basketball, it's just not possible to win. You're just basically donating money. As much as you try, you're just donating money. So they got to go to the lowest score. Go to the lowest score and erase it. Just erase it, and it's fine. Because then if a guy's scratched, no big deal. It's my lowest score. So that's my solution to that. And to say, oh, but that's, someone's advantage, someone's disadvantage. Everyone's got the same advantage and disadvantage in this situation. Everyone's got the same advantage and disadvantage. Just go back to it. Until COVID's gone, just go back to it. But that is Beast the Odds. The Monkey Night Fight pick is below. Have a beast weekend. We'll be back soon. And fantasy baseball content is coming to beastdome.com this weekend. Beast!